Good evening and welcome. Tonight we are going to be going over the history and geography of Bamingui-Bangoran in the Central African Republic, otherwise known as the CAR. But you should know that tonight I actually have a guest with me today. One of my nieces is here. Come and whisper hello very quietly to the microphone. Hello. Oh, that was really good. She's observing. We're having a slumber party, so she's hanging out while I'm filming tonight. Learning kind of how YouTube works, I guess. But let's talk about this very interesting region up here. You can already see something very distinct about it, in that it has two absolutely massive national parks within it. This is the Bamingui-Bangoran National Park. And over here is it's known in English as the St. Floris National Park. And what's even more special about these parks is that, especially this one, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I know you guys love the UNESCO sites. So let me slide over my tablet and you'll read about it. It's perfect because the CAR only has two, so quite perfect that we get to talk about one of them. It says, the importance of this park derives from its wealth of flora and fauna. Its vast savannas are home to a wide variety of species: black rhinoceroses, elephants, cheetahs, leopards, wild dogs, red-fronted gazelles, and buffalo, while various types of waterfowl are to be found in the northern floodplains. And of course, since we have elephants, we have to have Topple in the video later today. So stay tuned to the end of this video. We'll have another performance from Topple, the ASMR elephant. What's also great about having a UNESCO site here is that it can show you some wonderful pictures. Because unfortunately we won't be filming a Google Earth segment tonight. There are hardly any pictures of this region at all, and I'll tell you why at the end of its history. It's a beautiful elephant right here, isn't it gorgeous? Lions here, big old hippo stretching out its jowls. Some buffalo here. And here you can see the incredible rainforest landscape here. Apparently, this park is one of the most biodiverse areas in all of Africa, which is pretty hard to believe because you always consider Africa to be incredibly biodiverse in general. But this is apparently the most flora and fauna living together, at least in the African continent. I wonder if Madagascar has it beat. I'm not sure. This region is pretty mountainous, not super, but you can see right here's the Massif des Bongo, which is the best name for a mountain range, I think. And it's quite hilly and mountainous throughout. You can see many rivers traversing the area here, coming down from the various mountains. One of these rivers you can see makes up the northern border here. This is the Aouk River, and it eventually flows into, I believe, the White Nile, which of course flows into the Nile River, the longest river in Africa and the entire world. Now, it was a little hard to find history of this area, but this map actually helped me very much because you can see right here it says Darunga, and that led me down a big search into what this area used to be, which wasn't exactly Darunga. This area, and over here as well, was part of a Islamic state known as Dar al-Kuti, which formed in 1830. It formed because of Darunga, which was mostly up here in Chad, and another sultanate called Bagirmi, I believe. Prince splintered off, married a princess, formed his own kingdom, and this was it, Baralkuti. Before that, this region was various peoples, of course, just living their everyday lives, but it was a region of slaving. The other powerful kingdoms, sultanates, what have you, would come into this area to kidnap people to sell. So that significantly slowed down after the establishment of Baralkuti. The capital was somewhere north here along the river. It was called Cha, which again, another excellent name. But unfortunately, that city was attacked by another state, which was actually a vassal state for Baralkuti. It was called Wadai. And they formed a new capital city in 1898 called Ndele. You can see right there, Ndele. There's actually a tentative UNESCO site here in Ndele, which was built by a sultan named Sanusi. And it's known as the Tata, which are a kind of ancient fortification that's still standing today, sadly. Again, no pictures of it that I could find to show you, but still pretty neat, I think, that those are still intact today. Dar al-Kuti became a French protectorate in 1897, and you know that the French were just waiting and waiting for something to happen so they could swoop in and take over the area, which occurred in 1911. The Sultan Sanusi passed away. His sons were vying for control of the area, and the French came in by 1912. They had absorbed it into their colony, which was known as Ubangi-Shari, which we're going to talk about later this week when we cover Bangi. And that lasted until independence. I believe that was 1960. And the history of the CAR since then has been quite turbulent. The French left them, I wouldn't say completely destitute, but one of the leaders did. He decided to change the country to the Central African Empire. He crowned himself emperor in an elaborate, very fancy coronation ceremony modeled after Napoleon, and it essentially bankrupted the country, and it's never recovered since then. It's been a series of fraudulent elections, rebellions, takeovers, coups ever since. So while this area is not terrible compared to other parts in the CAR, it does have some problems. Ndele fell to a rebel group in 2012. It took until 2021 for the government to take it back. And probably the reason that I told you about that there aren't many pictures in this area here in the national parks is because there are other rebel groups hiding out in them. So it's not a very safe place to visit. Definitely not a safe place to snap pictures of the beautiful wildlife here, which is very unfortunate. Maybe someday that will change and people can come and see all the magnificent animals here again someday. I really hope so. And that is the history of this area. So yeah, unfortunately no Google Earth segment for the end here because there's barely any photographs at all. The ones on UNESCO were far better than the ones on Google Earth, so that is where I'm going to leave you for tonight. So let's get Topple out here to end the show. Actually, why don't you do Topple for me? You're gonna rub his trunk against the microphone here. Right here. There we go. While I do the outro. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. This is an ongoing series on my channel. And yeah, if you learned a cool fact tonight, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what it was down in the comments. Make sure you are subscribed now because tomorrow we are heading to one of the most interesting places, I think, in the world. We are heading over to Afghanistan to see where one of the most spectacular statue sites once stood. It's no longer there, unfortunately, but we'll see what remains. Next, you're going to rub his ears near the microphone. See his ears? Perfect. Oh, yeah. That's the stuff. Oh, that's good. She's a pro. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. That's good. And I hope that you have a good